Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium, and I'm in a celebratory mood this morning because, well, 45 got his second indictment. And it's just like the spirit guides said last week. He was going to pretty much go it alone. They did not predict a lot of other indictments along with him. They just predicted him and maybe one other person being rung up, as they like to say. And they said that they had a reason for that last week. And I'm channeling this, so I don't remember what the reason was for it last week. If I can ask them right now, it has something to do with squeezing the top, right? They talked about last week how oftentimes when they have a investigation like this, they squeeze the toothpaste from the bottom of the tube, right? So that forces the toothpaste to come out of the top, meaning the top person to expose themselves in some way, right? Put pressure on them so that they start getting sloppy. They make a mistake. Somehow they incriminate themselves and make it easier on those prosecutors. Well, in this scenario, and this is what they said last week, they were going to go straight for Trump. They were going to go straight for Trump and all of those other people that really are part of this alleged criming, they're going to go after later, which is very different, very unique. And this is what happened, right? So they also want to talk about how they just keep showing me this picture on Twitter a few days ago. Apparently, Jack Smith, no one has seen him. Like, there haven't been any photos of him. There haven't been any journalists running alongside as he walks to work going, Jack Smith, do you have anything to say? The man has been like a ghost, right? He's been literally just this phantom prosecutor we know is there. We know he's been doing the work, but nobody's been able to find him. 2 days ago, he's strolling along, like they made a joke, like he's strolling along holding a Subway sandwich, like coming back from lunch, and he has one guy with him who doesn't look like a bodyguard, but he's bigger than Jack Smith, but he looks like a staffer, and that's it. And there's this one journalist going, Jack Smith, what do you have to say? And he just has this kind of placid, content look on his face. That was 2 days ago. Is that a power move or what? Like, is that a power move? You've been the phantom ghost prosecutor, toiling away in the tower of your, stacks of evidence. And, my work is done. I'm just going to go out and see if the sun is shining because I haven't seen it in, 120 days. You know what I mean? So that was just, I hope they do a movie just about that, because that's how you do it, folks. That is how you do it. So Trump has been indicted. He's screaming on his Truth Social, I'm an innocent man. That's the last words. He did a double truther statement, but his last statement was in all caps, I'm an innocent man. It just sounded so pathetic. It's, you know what I mean? Like that honestly, to me, it sounded like I was hearing him on a future timeline echoing as they haul him into the Gitmo sanctuary that I see that he's going to be spending some time in, right? If you're new here, I've always seen that Trump is not going to go to prison. He's not going to be behind bars, not even for 5 seconds, but he will be contained. We need to contain him. He's a traitor, and he's not for our team. He's not for the United States of America, and he needs to be contained. And I think he will be contained. I see that as sort of like a room or 2 rooms that look like a hospital room, to be honest with you, but there's no one there. He has no one there. He has orderlies that maybe see him twice a day, which will drive him crazy. If you think about it, those of you that are really seeking justice, that feel like, you just want a pound of flesh, just for a moment, envision this with me. No Kentucky Fried Chicken, no McDonald's, no people to talk to rant at, to serve you. no social media. I mean, by the time it's over, they're going to give him a little square plastic thing, and he's going to be talking to it and sending fake truths on it. You know what I mean? Maybe it's his shoe. Maybe he uses his shoe like Get Smart, except for there's no smart. Honey, that's just a shoe. But we don't care, do we? I don't care. That's my justice. My justice is that he's not risking our democracy. He's not attacking our democracy anymore. He's out of commission. That's what's coming for Mr. Trump. And it's coming 8 ways to Sunday. Now, if you guys have been watching for a while, you would know that I'm channeling this. It's 60% Spirit Guides, 40% Susan. But you would also know that there was a time when, ta-da, Edward R. Murrow, who smokes like an SOB. My note, did you catch my nose earlier when my voice was breaking and now my nose is running? Okay, I can do it. So Edward R. Murrow, he came in and he said, I'm going to be one of your spirit guides. I have a political cadre of spirit guides that help me with this stuff, because my main spirit guides could really give a, just fill those words in, right? Whatever you want to use. But I have a special group of political spirit guides whom I've always seen like an old 1940s newsroom, and they have their typewriters and they're all busy working, except for that they're all a little off. It's like they're all kind of weird looking, kind of alien, kind of different things, like the Star Wars or the Star Trek. I think it was Star Wars bar scene or something. That's what's happening in my newsroom. But anyway, Edward R. Murrow shows up. And I knew of Edward R. Murrow because he's a famous journalist, and I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. And I think he's been honored in Louisville in some way. So anyway, he's been a little bit on hiatus, like he's been here, but not like here, right? There was a time when he was right up in my business with his little steno book. Remember those steno books? They just called it a steno book. Isn't that funny? He's back. He's back, and he doesn't have a steno book. This man is like this, like on my desk with a cigarette, ashes falling in my coffee cup. Anyway, messy. Behind the scenes, it can get a little messy. But anyway, Edward R. Murrow is all interested. That means, you know what that means? That means news, lots and lots of breaking news. So let's get started. Okay, well, it turns out that Meadows is the kingpin. And I'm going to put a little picture up here of a kingpin, but it's very interesting because when they woke me up this morning, and by the way, I'm doing this at 5:32 in the morning because I don't have time. I don't have time to do this today. So this is it. They woke me up this morning saying Meadows is the kingpin. Now, I think a lot of us are maybe familiar with that word from like crime movies, that kind of thing. The kingpin is the Don or the head honcho. Well, in that way, the kingpin would seem to be Donald Trump, right? And that's why when they gave me this word, I knew I had to look up the definition, because when I got the word, it came with like energy. It had like an extra vibration to it, like this is important. So I looked it up, and actually one of the origins of this word is the kingpin in bowling. In bowling, of all things, right? You hit the king pin and all the other pins fall down. Now do you understand why they said Meadows is the kingpin and why it was so important that I look up the definition and get exactly how they were telling me to use it, what the meaning of the word was in this instance is that Meadows is the one that's going to bring them all down. I think Meadows has the goods on Marjorie Taylor Greene, on Boebert, on Jim Jordan. he has information that will link back to Coney Barrett. Yes, the Justice Coney Barrett. By the way, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is the kingpin. He is the he can bring it. And that's why he disappeared for about 4 months. The man literally disappeared off the radar. Nobody knew where he was. Nobody knew what was going on with him. And interestingly enough, the legal scholars are saying, wow, if Meadows was able to negotiate partial immunity, now I don't think he was able to negotiate 100% immunity. So he is going to get rung up, as they like to say, for something, for some things. But he was able to negotiate some immunity in return for his testimony. That means he was right there in the room, shoulder to shoulder with the people doing the crimes. That's why he got the immunity. This is big, you guys. This is big. And, it's interesting. I get this information from the spirit guides. They don't always tell me, or I'm not able to understand how it's going to happen. I just know that it's going to happen. One of the things I haven't been able to understand is the timing. They keep telling me this isn't going to take 3 years, Susan. This is going to be done pretty quickly, even though there's nothing that suggests that it can be done quickly, right? I mean, this is our legal system takes what it takes. It takes a long time to just move through the steps that you have to move through to get a case to court, bring it through the court system, all that. This is what I'm sure that they're doing. This case is so airtight. It is so complete in every way. There will be no delays. Every potential delay has already been worked out and answered before they even brought the indictments. Do you understand what I'm saying? Trump's game, a lot of these people's game, is to delay. He's not going to be able to delay because every potential angle that him or his attorneys could use to delay has already been answered, has already been vetted, and every court will swat it down. That's in and of itself going to move this case much faster. Secondly, the guides told you last week that the court system has got the memo. I don't want to switch to that topic, but I will talk about that in just a second. The court system has got the memo, and the guides have told you this for many videos, that these judges would slowly start, their opinions would slowly start changing to stand up for settled law. They've gone rogue. When Trump was in office and Trump put in his Supreme Court cronies, they thought they had it sewn up. They thought they could just, we saw it with Roe v. Wade, right? We've seen it. Settled law doesn't matter. We are now a rogue court. And then that affected all the lower courts. The lower courts started going rogue too. Well, now they've gotten the memo. I'll talk about that in a minute, but that's important because now when these delays, when these kickbacks, that's interesting that they use the word kickbacks. When these pushbacks happen, the courts are just going to deny it. And they're going to get the message really quickly. Okay, this is game on. There isn't any delays here. We're going to have to really get ready for this case. And I think the case is going to move very, very quickly. And also remember the body blows, right? This is just the second body blow. They're coming in quick succession now. I believe Smith will have another indictment. And then I believe that Fani Willis will have more indictments. So I feel like you're going to see 3 more indictments. I don't know who the third one is. 3 more. I feel like 3 more indictments for Trump. That makes a total of 5 separate court cases. 5 separate court cases. Game over. And then you have in the Republican presidential, knock 'em sock 'em preview race, you have Chris Christie going after Trump, like just saying it. Chris Christie is just saying it. Yeah, I screwed up. I've done some stupid things, but not as dumb as this guy. Chris Christie is literally, again, body blows to Trump. You have Pence coming out saying, there's no way that I could have stopped that vote. Trump was wrong. You have these people who've been mute or muted or afraid up until now to speak. Now, why are they all speaking now? The Republican primary is not even to next year. They're pulling out all their ammo right now. I mean, right now, because they know that their dear leader is vulnerable. They know their dear leader is going down. That's why. They're piranha, they're shark, they smell the blood in the water and they're attacking. So that's another indication that Trump is over. It's over for him, literally over. You don't have to worry about it. These people couldn't even say something bad about Trump's shoes. Now they're over there attacking him plainly, powerfully, brutally. Okay. So I just think this is fantastic. That's why I'm up at 5:30 doing a video. So now the thing I do want to talk about, sorry, Edward R. Murrow. Okay, so I'm asking him to give me some space. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about, this is really weird. This is truly weird. Representative Clay Higgins, I don't know where this dude is from, but wherever he's from, y'all gonna have to do something about this man. Here's what he tweeted. President Trump said he has been summoned to appear at the federal courthouse in Miami on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Okay, well, that statement of fact. Next line. He goes from a statement of fact that makes perfect sense. His next line is, this is a perimeter probe from the oppressors. Hold, period, small r, POTUS has this, small r, capital POTUS has this, period. Buckle up, period. 1/50K. 1/50K. Know your bridges. Rock steady, calm. That is all. And he tweeted this at 8:19 last night. 8:19 last night. This is a perimeter hold from the oppressors. Buckle up. 1/50K. Know your bridges. Hello, these people are just out and out sending their code on public. This isn't on Signal. This isn't on Telegram. This is on Twitter. Now, I know Twitter's been taken over by a fascist, crazy, let's call it what it is, MFer. I know that. I'm in the trenches every day on Twitter. I refuse to give it up. Twitter is important, you guys, because over 90% of humans have cell phones. Believe it or not, I looked it up. Twitter's important because people in the odd town, in an odd countryside, in an odd country can pick up their phone and say, I just saw a Black Hawk helicopter land on the embassy roof. I wonder what's going on. Many times, news is started from people in small communities tweeting what they're seeing. We saw this during the big protest in Portland, Oregon. We had local people tweeting from the street, videoing and letting everybody know what's going on. In this day and age, when our news is not news, our news is corrupted, I personally like to go straight to the source. I like to go to the lawyers. I like to go to the political scientists at the universities. I like to go to the people on the streets. That's why Twitter is important. And that is why Elon Musk and the Saudi Arabia has bought it, is to silence those people. Okay. So I know Twitter's been taken over, but Clay Higgins has lost his mind. And clearly he feels like this kind of gobbledygook isn't going to get him, imprisoned or in front of a judge. But I got news for him. This is very much going to get him in front of a judge. This, along with apparently all the other things that he's apparently and allegedly done on Signal, is going to get him in front of a judge. And maybe he doesn't care anymore. Maybe Trump getting indicted twice is some sort of like call to arms or call to action. The quote unquote real patriots are now willing to stand up and take their lumps with law enforcement or whatever. Fine, stand up. I want to see all of y'all. Take your hoods off, right? So that's interesting. I'm going to keep an eye on that because I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about some 50,000 people force. I'm not worried about that because when it's all said and done, there's, maybe a group of 1,000 in the whole United States that are looking for trouble, that will act out, that will do things that are violent. Even if it's 2,000, okay, it's not an army. And we can deal with it. And we will deal with it. And again, going back to the courts are not going to be in any mood for this. They've already, they got the memo. They know who won. And it's not Trump. They've got to reorient themselves. And they will not put up with these people like this guy and or their cronies or their foot soldiers. Okay. But I thought that was very interesting. So another very interesting thing that happened yesterday is there's a gang of 8, which is it's a very important thing. I should look it up and put it on the screen. The gang of 8 is an important group of 8. Apparently yesterday there was a gang of 8 briefing in a SCIF, in the Senate SCIF. Now, if you don't know what a SCIF is, it's a place where it's super top secret place where you can't bring your cell phones. You can only bring a pad and paper. I mean, it's where they discuss things that could be very potentially dangerous or risky for the United States of America. It's where the intelligence community briefs our senators. So there was a impromptu gathering of the gang of 8. So there's 2 things that we need to take away. Well, it's probably like 1,000, but right now I'm going to say there's 2 things. First of all, that they had a meeting in the SCIF, that they called the gang of 8, that it was an important meeting, and that it was an important meeting because Trump is being indicted for these crimes. And it's a heads up. This is a dicey time for America. I just got through talking about the foot soldiers and Clay Higgins and whatever crazy, mumbo jumbo he's telling his followers, right? So that's interesting. That's something that we need to pay attention to. I do feel like they were notified of potential threats. I feel like they got they have a there seems to be some sort of plan that they put in place. Now I know the guides are not making fun of this, but they are making fun of this. So if you have kids and you go to the mall and you're like, well, if somebody gets lost, we're all going to meet at this store at 3 p.m., right? No matter what happens, we're all going to meet at this store at 3 p.m., right? So this is kind of what they're saying that happened in the gang of 8. In the case of X, Y, and Z, we're going to be doing this. Everybody take this corridor. Everybody meet at this location. If you're not at this location by this time, we will assume that you've been compromised, something bad has happened to you, and we will go in. We're not playing here, right? Don't be like, in the bathroom when we're trying to be doing this. When we call this mission out, you need to put everything down and you need to meet us here. This is very serious. This is life or death. So if you're not there, we're going to assume that you're compromised in some way, and we're going to send a battalion out to get you. They're not playing, actually. I mean, I know that the guys just made a joke. Sometimes they do that because my energy can be a little intense and they want to lighten it up. But the truth of the matter is there's no jokes here. This is very serious. The threats are very real. Okay. So I thought that was very interesting. Also, I would say that the federal government, this is something that you should know. The federal government has a 99.6 conviction rate. The DOJ has a 99.6 conviction rate. Okay, so don't worry. This man is going down, down, down the tubes. So let me see if I can tell you about. All right, there's a lot going on. Briefly, I want to talk about Gavin Newsom. He has been on my radar. He keeps pinging me and pinging me and pinging me. It's like he's everywhere. Everywhere I turn, I hear about Gavin Newsom saying something or doing something. He's clearly engaging. They want to say engaging his energy, which is not exactly how humans talk, but okay. He's engaging his constituency. He's engaging the Democrats, the Democratic Party. He's trying to get some traction. He's trying to get some airtime. He's trying to raise his name, the popularity of or recognition of his name. And the latest thing that he's done is he's proposing a new amendment. Now, we've talked about this a lot, right? Like, we need a new amendment, or we need to maybe clarify some of our amendments. But the guides have talked to you a lot about how the Constitution is a living, breathing thing. We have amendments for a reason. We're a much different country in 2023 than we were when the Constitution was written. And amendments are essential. They're essential to keeping up with how our society has changed. Now, Gavin Newsom is saying, I'm proposing a new 28th Amendment to the United States Constitution. And the amendment that he is proposing has to do with gun violence. And he wants to basically ban assault weapons. He wants to have an amendment that will enshrine is the word they want to use, enshrine in our Constitution, real clarity around guns, right? The Second Amendment does not say you can have an AR-15. If you really want to follow the Second Amendment, then we should just give these people a bunch of musket balls and a musket loader and say, have at it. Here's your Second Amendment. This is what they meant, you know? So I think it's interesting, number one, that Gavin Newsom is everywhere. Number two, that he's finally taken the bull by the horns and said, I have what it takes. I have the guts to just say it, to come out and really state my stance and stand out from everybody, right? This is a bold move. You don't hear this coming from Jeffries. You don't hear this coming from Biden. You don't hear this coming from anybody. Gavin Newsom really is trying to stand alone. He's really trying to make himself stand out. Now, that's interesting to me because, to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure that Biden is going to be running for president, and I don't think that Gavin Newsom is going to run against him. I don't think he's going to primary Biden. So why would he waste all this energy and all this time and all this money for nothing? Doesn't happen in politics, people. It doesn't happen. He's doing this for a reason. I feel that the reason is, and the guides have told you, I've got a lot of new viewers. I feel like I should state everything they told you 3 years ago. I see Biden stepping down. Either, I know he doesn't want to. I'm not saying he wants to. I'm saying that it's the best thing to do. He has some sort of health condition that he says, this is the right thing for me to do. I'm not compromised, but this health condition will likely get worse. And at some point I will be compromised, and I want to just step down and, hand the reins over to my VP, Kamala Harris. So I've always seen Kamala Harris being president. I'm wondering if, maybe Gavin's got a psychic on the payroll. I don't know. But he sure is angling himself that if a position opens, maybe for a VP or something like that, that he is, he's putting his wares out there for everybody to see. There's a reason behind it. I'm going to watch him because they keep calling my attention to it. It's important. There's something going on here. I don't think he's angling for a place in the administration, because you don't really upshow the boss when you're trying to get a job in the boss's organization, right? This is leadership stuff that Gavin's doing, saying, hey, let's get a new amendment, right? I mean, this is very unique. These are big risks that this man is taking, and they're ballsy. So I think that he knows something might be going down. I can't tell you if Biden is going to step down this year or next year. There's some energy right now that they're telling me that it could be this year. It could be maybe not 23, but meaning in the next 6, 8. That would mean, wait a minute, wait just a darn minute. That would mean that, see, that doesn't make sense. I mean, who am I to know? I'm over here questioning them but that's very interesting. Well, okay, so I think the energy suggests that this is supposed to happen in 24, that he's supposed to win his next election, and then he steps down, and that gives her 3 years to govern without being challenged, right? Without having to run. Because the thing I've always seen is I don't know that she would win if she ran. And that's why Gavin Newsom, see, this is what I'm saying. There's energy here, you guys. There's energy. There's something brewing that we don't know about, that I think some people do know about. Okay, so just watch this space, because if Biden steps down before the election, well, of course, Kamala Harris is going to be the interim president, and then she'll have to run in 24. Now, I see Democrats winning in 24. I see that. So I don't think that's going to be the problem. But you could have a really crazy landscape if this happens, because the other side of the coin is I see the Republicans being in disarray. Chris Christie's coming out too early. He's not going to win the nomination. He's just out there taking some sucker punches because Trump is down. He's getting his own revenge. I don't blame him. Whatever. Do you, Chris? But Pence is, these people that are launching their campaigns right now are going to peak too early. They both of those men have too much baggage. So what I see for the Republican Party in 24 for the presidential race is that it's mayhem for the Republicans. There's no real front runner. It's just mayhem and they're all infighting and knocking each other's legs out from under each other. I mean, I just saw DeSantis. If you've watched me, you know that I keep seeing DeSantis's legs getting knocked out from under him. It's like a pit full of snakes all biting each other. Woo, that scared me. And that's my own alarm. I'm supposed to get up right now, by the way. So the Republican Party is in mayhem next year. If this goes down with Kamala Harris and with Biden, the Democratic Party could be in a little bit of similar, not mayhem, but similar, confusion. It's going to be very, very interesting. The thing that I see with Biden is not life-threatening, but it is a disease. It is a diagnosis, and it is something that gets worse with time. Okay. And I think that he already knows it personally. but it's not something that's affecting his duties. But you know Biden, and if he thinks that that something is affecting his ability to govern, then he will step down. He is that kind of respectful, professional, trustworthy president that will put America above him, above his own ego. So I kind of went off on that tangent, but that Gavin Newsom energy is, and I'm not saying it's bugging me from a standpoint that I don't like Gavin Newsom. I like Gavin Newsom. I'm just saying it's concerning me because it's going to confuse things, and it has a lot of energy around it. I don't see him. So this is an important thing, right? When I compare him to Mike Pence, Pence just toddles off into the distance, muttering to himself. DeSantis gets tripped and falls down. Chris Christie, has some kind of anger fit and storms off. I don't see any of these people viable candidates in April of next year. Gavin Newsom is a different energy. He's staying just below this line where he has to commit to running against Biden. You understand what I'm saying? If there is a possibility or some sort of opening, he's right there ready to jump on it. That's the energy. Okay, so that's something to pay attention to. It doesn't mean I don't like him. I do like him, but I'm not gonna. Obviously, I'm not gonna vote for him if he primaries Biden. I don't think he is gonna primary Biden. I think he's waiting for some other opportunity that he has a notion about, and he's preparing himself for that position in plain view, despite the fact that nobody understands why he's doing that. Okay, sorry, my allergies are killing me, and you know why. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is the courts. This is super important because they've got the memo. You're starting to see the courts act a little bit more respectful of settled law. You're starting to see them slowly swing in the right direction. I'm not saying this is not going to be an instant, flip. It's a slow process, but a very important indication of that is just before, or maybe the same day that Trump got indicted, the Supreme Court voted to uphold Alabama voting rights. So a case went all the way to the Supreme Court where they were trying to deny African American voters in Alabama an additional voting district. And so the way I understand it is that the Supreme Court has a shadow docket, right? So they have too many cases. They can't hear all these cases. It's another reason why we should be expanding the Supreme Court so that we can take care of the business of the United States. So they have this shadow docket where each of the justices are in charge of kind of yay-naying these cases. Yes, we'll hear the case. No, we won't hear the case. It's just a way of kind of helping to deal with the amount of cases that come through. Well, they agreed to hear this case, which means that, Alabama had to wait until this thing went to the Supreme Court. Well, it went to the Supreme Court. Surprise, surprise. Roberts and I believe it was Kavanaugh joined to vote with the liberal judges. Surprise, surprise. And I think that Roberts even wrote the majority opinion. Surprise, surprise. This is super surprising. This has got all of the lawyers and the law professors that follow the Supreme Court shaking their heads, scratching their heads. What happened? This isn't, based on what these conservative judges have done in the past, this is very surprising. Again, You see, you can see the timing. The Supreme Court knew Trump was going down. They knew they weren't going to have cover. They knew the gig is up. They got the memo. They got the memo. We have got to get on the winning team, or else we're going to be out. Spirit guides have been telling you this. Even the congressmen and women and the senators were going to start whitewashing. You know, they're going to start changing their stance on things. They're going to go back and change and get rid of tweets, get rid of statements, that they're going to go through their social media and clean it up. They're going to pretend like they're, you know, more moderate, more reasonable. And again, it's the same energy of, well, we're going to sacrifice, you know, Trump to the justice gods. Maybe we'll sacrifice Santos. Maybe we'll sacrifice Marjorie Taylor Greene. Maybe we'll sacrifice Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz. Maybe we'll sacrifice 8 or 10 Congress people. And then the rest of us will, you know, be good little boys and girls and stand in line all straight, and they won't come for us, even though we supported those people. That's what's happening. So now you're going to see, and as I'm talking, they're reminding me about the SCIF. The meeting in the SCIF was also about Congress people being indicted, and right, Marjorie Taylor Greene could not have been in the SCIF. See, they want to talk about the SCIF specifically because the SCIF, all I'm saying is that somebody was like McConnell and Schumer have been told. I see McConnell being told, whispered into his ear, these people have indictments coming. So I feel that McConnell is being tipped off that some of these House members, they want to call them legislators. Some of these legislators are going to be indicted. So I think that could happen as soon as this month. Wow, that's going to really freak everybody. That's going to freak out that guy who when I'm channeling, I don't remember people's names, but the guy just talked about who had that weird coded tweet. No wonder he's sending out coded tweets. He knows they're coming after him. They're showing me that guy. It doesn't matter. Show me the guy with the eye patch. The Proud Boy who went down, who was a Yale lawyer. He's in prison. I feel certain that MTG is going down. Well, I feel certain that Matt Gaetz is going down, that before it's all over with, you guys, DeSantis, and something could be happening. Something bigger could be happening in Texas with the Texas state government. For sure, Paxton, who's under indictment, is going to go down. But I'm pretty sure that he's going to pull Patrick, who's our lieutenant governor. Something might be happening to the state of Texas leadership. You know who I also just saw is the Arkansas governor. I can't think of her name, but I just saw her crazy eyes. Y'all know who I'm talking about? So this is far reaching, and this is going to implicate a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to have to lawyer up. It doesn't mean that I see them all going to prison, but they're all going to be lawyering up. And then you're going to hear a hue and cry about you're just attacking the Republicans, because let's face it, they're all going to be Republicans. You know, maybe a Democrat, one Democrat, maybe some aides, some aides to a Democrat. You know, I'm hearing the word besmirched, you know, like maybe the Democrat isn't in the line of fire, but there's an aide or a connection to the Democrat that's being investigated. And by proxy, that makes that Democrat look like they've, they might be linked in some way. So, but the bottom line, to get back to the court case, is this is a big deal. This is changing everything. This means there's no cover for these people. They're going to lawyer up, but by the time they stand in front of a judge, the environment is going to be very different than it was when Trump was in office, or even last year. The judges have got the memo. You're starting to see people really go to prison. You're starting to see people get the sentences that they should get. Everything has changed, you guys. Everything has changed. This is the beginning of a new world, truly, the beginning of a new United States of America in many ways. The Republican Party is going to be decimated. It's going to get rejiggered. It's going to get reconfigured. The guides told you this back on Jan 6th, that the Republican Party would either fall apart and disappear, be remade, even have a new name, or there would be a competing party and not no labels. That is a BS decoy party is what they're calling it. There could be a real, truly conservative party that springs up out of the ground, out of the ashes of the Republican Party. And you know who I'm going to say is going to be leading it, because we've been telling you this for years, and that is Liz Cheney. She has said energetically to me, I will decimate this Republican Party who's infected by foreign money. I will decimate them. I will take them out. I will make them rue the day that they ever did this, that they ever swore their allegiance to a foreign country. And I will take it over. She is literally waiting in the wings, sharpening her little cat claws, ready to take over the party. But in the meantime, there's not going to be any fingerprints. She's going to be over there minding her own business when the Republican Party starts blowing up. Nobody will have seen the fuse that goes all the way over to her, where she goes kaboom. Nobody will see that, because that's not how Cheneys operate, right? So we have a lot of big changes. A lot of big changes. Mark my words. The Republican Party is going to fall apart. Somebody's going to have to come in and reconfigure it. I see that once the Republican Party gets these indictments, they're going to infight each other. They're going to eat each other. And then eventually, by May of next year, it's all over. There's nothing but smoke, and as the smoke clears, which means that these people have been indicted, they've been convicted, they've been charged, they're gone. As the smoke clears, we're having special elections for those people who are stepping down or getting hauled off, however you want to play it, whether you want to take it to the nth degree, then, fine, we'll haul you off of the House floor, no problem. Then in May, that's when I see some of those Congress people being replaced. Some of them Democrats, some of the Republicans are being replaced with Democrats. Some of the Republicans are being replaced with Republicans. I don't see it as a sweep with new Democrats, but I do see, because they got the memo, bipartisanship. So by May of next year, and I know that sounds like a long way away, but this has to play out. We have to give some time for the court system to do its job. We're not really truly a banana republic just yet. So by May of next year, Trump is gone. I feel like Trump is gone by this fall, to be honest with you. Whether that means he decides to flee to the pearly gates, or he's in his Gitmo hotel room, whatever that means. I feel like by the end of the year, he's preparing to enter that next phase of his life. Then you give it a few more months until April, May of next year. And that's when you have really some upheaval and big changes in the Congress. Then the Republicans decide they need to sing Kumbaya and hold hands with the Democrats because they don't know what just hit them. And the Democrats take over the House, the Senate, and the presidency. This is what I've been seeing. I don't think it's going to change. I think this is what's going to happen. Even if there's some confusion with the Democrats, it doesn't matter. The Democrats are much more, they're not hit by this destabilizing indictments the way the Republicans are. So even if something does happen with Biden, we are much more stable. We've got great leadership. We got Schumer, we got Jeffries, we got great leadership. We've got Kamala Harris. He's got a great cabinet. We'll deal with this. It's not going to be that destabilizing for the Democrats. Okay. Woo. Okay. I don't know. I'm going to end this video. I have no idea what they've been rambling about. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Congratulations on indictment number 2. More to come where that came from. Take really good care of yourself. Things could get a little dicey. These crazy people could be a little bit more vocal or a little bit more public. Avoid them. My best advice to you is if you see a protest, just avoid it. Avoid it. They will be mixing it up. They will be trying to foment violence. They will be doing things. We talked about the provocateurs, the saboteurs. They will be sabotaging. They will be provoking people. This is their game plan. So just try to avoid it. Just like Jan 6, they showed up by themselves. They acted a fool and did all those crimes themselves. Do not allow them to write your narrative. Do not allow them to push you into doing something that you wouldn't normally do just because of their craziness. Okay? Take really good care. We'll talk soon. For entertainment purposes only.